Okay, that doesn't seem to work. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I think it is working. Okay. Good
Hey,
afternoon, Jan.
hey, good morning, Michael.
All
Okay,
right.
problems get solved. That's a good thing.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, still have
Yeah,
to pop out the chat, and let's hope that the chat works. I have noticed on several of these streams that I end the stream and it says, "Oh, there were there were two people in chat," and I have the chat window open the whole time, and I didn't see anything. So,
okay.
apologize to anybody who's been trying to chat during the show.
Mhm.
Um, trying different things to see if we can make that a bit more reliable. But
Mhm. Last
okay.
week I still had discovered a strange limitation of Discord.
Mm,
I came on to view if you were uh, absent or by accident you were there. So 3 o'clock local time,
mm,
I logged on and I prepared something on my laptop as well. I was in some difficulties, that was it. So I say, okay, let's share the screen of my laptop with Discord and have the usual on the main PC,
oh,
the
okay.
usual Discord. It doesn't work with the
Mm,
same account. You can only open uh, one login with one account.
mm,
So I say, okay,
yeah.
never mind. Let's open that with Zoom. But okay, but that
Yeah.
problem has been solved in meanwhile.
Oh, the Discord problem has?
Well, I have a big question for you
Oh,
after
okay.
that problem. The problem was very simple. So I was and I'm still working on that big Jinaga skill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, so one of my ideas was I'm not gonna download each time the videos because if I'm trying, already I wanted to have higher resolution. So let's download the videos in the highest resolution, in their native resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's about 160 or more videos, so that needs some space.
Yeah.
And not to to download the whole week. I say, okay, let's do it directly on the fiber, because my main
Mm.
computer is behind another firewall, behind another router. So I
Okay, yeah.
think I have about 30 megabit here. If I'm directly on the fiber, I have 600 megabit per second. So I say, just put the laptop next to me, which is on the Wi-Fi, directly to the fiber. That will go much faster. But there is no cursor installed on that
Mm.
laptop. So okay,
Kind of need
install
that, yeah.
cursor. And there I had a big surprise. Um, Actually, I got a cursor which I didn't recognize at all.
Hmm.
Even the menus were
Oh,
completely different.
okay,
There was
yeah.
no about, nothing, and it's very stupid, but it took me hours. It took me hours. Actually, it was in the agent window.
Yeah, yeah.
So originally when I installed Cursor, it was probably version 1.0 or 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
It went directly into the editor
Yeah.
window and you opened the agent. Um, and so here I got all the time the updates. And here I installed 3.0 from scratch.
Right.
And that's not possible. It's very, very confusing. Um, and then been playing with other things. So because we need Python. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and on my main computer, a lot of things are installed, but on that laptop, which was a fresh installation, there was no Python. I probably never played with PowerShell, so I didn't adjust the PowerShell rights. So if you want a Python virtual environment, it doesn't allow you because you don't have the PowerShell rights and so on. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, and therefore my main question: how do you do that if you work with a lot of colleagues
Mm-hmm.
to have a consistent environment setup?
Right. That's, yeah, that is a challenge. One of the, excuse me. Um, one of the options is, of course, to use a cloud development environment like um, GitHub has. Uh, development something spaces. But yeah, actually, it's just called GitHub Spaces, and that's that's one option. It's something that we explored at my client and decided not to go that route because we need so much control over the local environment. Um, then what we've settled on is that there are very detailed instructions that are referenced from the README. So they're in Markdown files that tell you, how to how to start things in Docker, for example. So we use Postgres. So use these instructions in order to start a Docker Postgres container, and then there's actually a portion of it, since this is what we're working on, a microservices application. There are a lot of extra features that you need in order for all of these to be able to work. There's RabbitMQ, and there's Quartz for the scheduling, and so we've actually set up a Docker Compose set of just all the useful stuff. Postgres isn't in it because we're the only team that's using Postgres. Everybody else is using SQL Server, but SQL Server is in it. And so there's that one Docker Compose that starts everything up. And that's and so with that, you can then start up Cursor and say, this is a brand new environment, get everything set up. And it reads README, and it reads those files, and it runs all the Docker commands. So I would say you probably want to also put things like Uvicorn in there. That's a Python version management system. I might have that wrong, but basically it's equivalent to NPX but for Python. So Uvicorn, when you when you actually want to run something like this is used quite a lot for MCP servers. But when you want to run something with Uvicorn, you do UV space and then the name of the thing you want to run. Similar to NPX, you can NPX run a package. Uvicorn can run a package.
Yeah, that's one of the suggestions that I read on internet.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, you put instructions in there to install Uvicorn, and a human could read those instructions and do it, but it's really there for Cursor to to read and say, oh well, is this already set up? And it'll do a UV test and says, nope, not installed. So yeah, here's what I recommend. You want me to do it? Do it. And yeah, then it gets everything set up. Yeah, it is a bit of a challenge. I guess another option would be to have a common virtual machine image. Then you'd have to maintain that image, install new things as you require them.
But then people sometimes deviate. So I think it only. I was thinking of having a type of just an MD file, a knowledge base, which you check into GitHub, and all the members of the team, when they install a new tool, they describe what they did. If at a certain moment somebody encounters a problem because they are on a different Windows version, because they have a newer version, they describe the problem, and that document is participated between all the members.
Yeah. One of the problems though is that you don't have any isolation. So if you use this one machine for several different clients and they all have a different setup, you basically now installed everything from everybody, and there might be some conflicts. Things like Uvicorn and NPX and NVM, the Node Version Manager, they are intended for you to be able to switch from one to the next. And you'll even be able to put, this is the Node version that I use inside of your folder, and now when you're working in that folder, it'll switch to that one. But a way around that, which honestly I have not tried yet, is dev containers. So these are Docker containers that you run on your machine. So it's not like a a GitHub space or a place where you can use your browser and now you've got Visual Studio Code and you're actually on somebody else's machine. But this is running on your own machine, and so with the dev container now you're shipping Docker images, or really, I guess Docker files is what you're really shipping to share with your team. So if you need to change something in the dev container, you update the Docker file, get that pushed out, it rebuilds, and now everybody's got access to a container image and a registry, and then they can pull that container image and spin up the dev container.
Okay, and in this way, everybody's container will evaluate in the same direction.
Yeah.
Okay. So it seems I'm not the only one encountering problems.
No, this is pretty common. And just like with any common problem, there's a lot of solutions that people have come up with.
That's then another problem, that there are
Yeah.
too many solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes stupid things like this editor and this agent window. I said, but what's happening? What's happening? I reinstalled it. I say, the difference between a system and a user installation, that cannot be the issue. I say, would it be because I'm on a multi-monitor system and the laptop is just a single screen? I say, something is completely wrong. Until I start tapping a little bit in the user interface, and I found it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember being surprised myself when I saw the agent window. So I had already started down the path of Claude Code and being at arm's length from my code. So I'm working inside of a thing that doesn't, it's not an editor. You don't see the code. Although when you give me this, had some windows pop up in front of me. With Claude Code, when it makes a change, it shows you what the change is. You can see that on the screen. You can even approve it if you want to. But it's not like the dig through your code kind of experience. And so I usually run Claude Code and VS Code side by side. And so when I saw the agent window pop up, I was like, oh, okay, this is getting me closer to that Claude Code experience where I'm at arm's length away from the code. And so I actually did start by running Cursor and Visual Studio Code side by side, and then I said, oh, wait a minute, you can use this in order to get back to the editor window. So, okay. But I did run into some problems with the agent window that turned out to be pretty heavy blockers for me, and so I've actually switched back to the editor window with Cursor 3. But then I just kind of rearranged the panes so that I'm mostly seeing the agent. So kind of using it in that mode, but
yeah, but you can just drag them over multiple monitors, different windows, so it doesn't really.
Yeah.
Okay, the problem is fixed. So.
Yeah, very nice, very nice.
Yeah. I sent you a mail, but you probably didn't see it.
Oh, no, I did not.
The Jinaga skill that you made, you didn't put the book inside it, I guess. It was just based on the website?
Correct. Yes, it was just based on the website.
Okay. Yes. I've gathered all the files, the 2 book editions, everything, and let's see what comes out of it. Because it's gonna be a big mess.
Yeah.
Because the time changes, and then once you have a big skill, because then skills can be very big because they have a lot of different references. Do you check them into Git?
Yeah. So I typically will have my skills at the project level so that I can share them with the team, and that they're
Mhm.
very specific to the project. And so those those are checked in at the same time as the code um, that they're related to.
Mhm.
So it's like, I'm going to do a thing, and then I'll say create a skill, and then um, I might even test that skill, do that same thing again in a new session using using the skill, and see if that works. And so then I'll have a PR that has those code changes and the skills.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the skill can be rather big. For example, the next thing that I want to try, I tried before a little bit on the norms of the weight scales,
Mm-hmm.
which are quite heavy files. So I guess that the skill will keep the PDFs as reference to look up somewhere, um, which we might also have with the Jinaga skill, that it says, okay, I will keep the videos referenced
Mm-hmm.
within the skill.
Mm.
Um,
Okay. Yeah, I
so
see.
so
Yeah.
in that case, it will be a huge. Um, it might be hundreds of gigabytes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to check in videos into GitHub, I guess.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. That's yeah. So there, I would think of this as a pipeline. What you want out of the pipeline is a skill that somebody could install that would then give them access to this body of knowledge. And
Hmm.
then the input is a whole bunch of videos, and then you'll kind of work through the pipeline in order to get that installable skills. And so that installable skill will be much smaller, um, and that does sound like something that would be a user level skill. So you would install it globally, um, but but yeah, while you're developing this pipeline, you're developing it as a skill that knows how to download the videos. So it's got scripts to do that, and
Yeah,
yeah.
but you might, so the to develop the skill might be a skill itself,
Mm-hmm.
but imagine that the end result, by running that skill, you will not always get the same end result. So that end result, you might have to
Mm-hmm.
correct it manually. You might have to add things manually, delete things manually.
Yeah.
So you don't want another person to go through that process again, because uh,
Yeah.
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 Now,
So
in that
yeah,
in,
let's kind of abstract away from the idea of a skill. That's kind of the tool that you're using to do this development, and the and also the deployment artifact. But just in general, I think you would want um, a set of rules for how to download and process the videos, and so
mm,
those could be encoded as a skill, or we could even move to some other mechanism for that. And then there's the videos themselves, and so you want to version control the instructions, but it doesn't make sense to version control the videos. So maybe the videos can be on a media server in some way. So it could be as simple as you put them into an S3 bucket or an Azure Blob Store,
mm,
um, and then um, the instructions say, okay, download it from here, upload it to that storage, and do that only if the video is not already in storage. And then you can maybe version control a small file that it keeps track of what you've already downloaded and what the name is, maybe even the hash. Do some um, content address storage, but yeah, I think that separates the pipeline, those instructions from the product itself.
okay, and then the skill looks up, for example, the content of the S3 buckets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then what you're then trying to produce from them are transcripts, and so
Mm,
those would be part of the pipeline, and I would imagine the transcripts would be under version control, so that even on a different machine or somebody else could pick up the process, or maybe even automate this in the cloud, can pick up the process from the transcript without having to download the video. So yeah, just kind of map out what are the different steps along the pipeline, and then yeah, you can figure out what belongs in version control and what doesn't. Yeah, and then yeah, at the end, I would imagine it's not the best use of the end user's tokens to ship a transcript and have it figure out what's happening. But if there's some next step that kind of summarizes, but it's not quite a summarize, basically processes the transcripts into a form that could more directly answer whatever the question is. So if the question is directly about the videos, so when did we discuss this, then I could see the that processing being a set of documents that are it could be per episode, and a short summary of each of the different portions of the video. So you can find the thing we discussed, and then we know where it is, or even pivot that and have this pipeline produce a document of topics, or several documents of different topics, and then tell the story of Janaga feeds, for example. So we discussed feeds over several different episodes. So here's the feeds document. Here's how it evolved, and then in this episode we talked about this, and that episode we talked about that. And so basically, pre-do a lot of the work that you would want the end user's agent to do.
Yeah, as much as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you're absolutely right to call out that if you were to run this pipeline from scratch, you would get a different output. So you do want to version control those intermediate steps as well, so that you don't have to rerun them, and you do get some consistency.
Okay. So this is basically to store it for my own usage afterwards, because I'm gonna read in also the PDFs from the book, and it's not a purpose that is on internet, of course.
Yeah.
Somebody's not gonna be happy, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't think I am permitted to just share those PDFs with the world, but actually, probably, yeah. It would that wouldn't make much sense. Similarly with Pluralsight, I can record a course put it on Pluralsight, but they own the that video, and they they own that work product, and so I can't take those videos and just share them with people.
Just put them on YouTube, for example.
Yeah, they do have an exception for certain lengths, so you can put a snippet of your course on YouTube. There is a constraints around what you can do there.
That's why I keep my Pluralsight subscription. Yeah, because there's quite a lot of good stuff on Pluralsight.
Yeah, I like to think so. Yeah, and there will be something even something new that's good on Pluralsight in another few months. So I'm putting in the proposal for Claude Code at scale. So this is how to use specifically Claude Code. My previous Pluralsight course was just more general AI's development. So I showed lots of different tools, but this one is specifically Claude Code, and the idea is how do you scale this up? How do you scale to multiple people on a team? How do you scale to producing more output as per individual? How do you make this part of your organization?
And that's gonna be a new course that you add?
Yes,
Or?
yes.
Okay.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep. Pluralsight has put together several different new paths, and so they're
Mm-hmm.
going all in on this. What do people really need to know? And they're being forward thinking. Yeah, a lot of the content that you see is I just figured out how to do this, and so this is something that that you can do now. So it's starting from the vibe coding thing, and then the spectrum development thing, um,
Mm-hmm.
so people, okay, yeah yeah yeah, I'm doing this now, so you can too. And a lot of those are on YouTube right now, but they aren't strategy. They aren't, as an organization, what are you going to invest in? What are you going to train your people on? And now how are you going to deploy that in order to get the outputs that you need as an organization? Um, and yeah, that's not somebody figuring something out and then putting it on YouTube like we do here. That's uh, a bit more focused and deliberate.
Mm-hmm. I saw on Pluralsight there are some more others now focusing on artificial intelligence.
Oh yes,
So
yes, quite a few of us now.
mm, yeah, you were one of the first ones, but
And
yeah.
I was just really lucky. Because I'd been experimenting with AI assisted development, and we saw some of the earlier experiments on the show. And what was what was really funny is that for the course, I actually took some of the snippets of what we did on the show, and I put those into the intro. So you could see kind of an evolution of AI,
Mm,
from from GitHub autocomplete through some of the failed experiments that GitHub ran to run things in the cloud. Um, you know, several different Kilo code was in there, and several different Klein was also in there. Yeah,
yeah.
I really loved Klein, and now I don't touch it, but um, and so I was really lucky that I had that experience. They were saying, okay, we want to put together this one path on AI assisted development, so let's find the authors for that path, and so I reached out and say, yeah, I want to do that course right there, the advanced course, and this was toward the mid 2025, and so commissioned that course. There were a lot of things happening, and I couldn't get started, but I told them, okay, I'll get started, toward the end of 2025. And they said, okay, that's fine. And then, yeah, toward the end of 2025 is where skills are created and the models get so much better. And it's like, okay, this is now serious engineering. And
Mm-hmm.
I've already got this course commissioned, and I'm prepared. So it's like, okay, boom, this is now an engineering course around AI assisted development. Um, and yeah, that was really fortunate. And then, of course, because everything got better, now people come to the platform and they're looking for this path. And so yeah, that course has been doing pretty good.
So it was meant to be just an introduction, while here you really give from zero to automatic workflows.
Hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. So that course kind of lays the foundation. It
Mm-hmm.
starts with how to manage context, and then kind of builds up
Yeah.
to creating skills, and then creating multiple subagents, and defining a workflow. And so basically, out of that came let's formalize this and call it factory engineering, and so created that site.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, but yeah, then that's kind of at the individual contributor and small team level.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of ends with, this is how this would look if you started to organize your entire organization around this. But it really starts from that angle. So Claude Code at scale is more about starting from there. We've decided we're using Claude Code. We got skills. We know how to manage context. How do we get from being that individual contributor where every time you want something out of Claude Code, you have to type, to truly be building an automated factory that continues to run while your development team, your product team, your QA team is evaluating the output and then putting their responses, their improvements back into the system, and then letting it continue to automate. So it's like, okay, in order to truly scale Claude Code, you need to get your hands off the keyboard, because you can't type fast enough. You can't have enough windows open all at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some people who will get 5, 6 Claude Code windows, and then they'll be going from one to the next. Okay, got that one working. Let's go to this next one. Mm-hmm. I can manage 2. That's the limit of my attention. And when I'm switching from one to the next, just like, okay, stop. Okay, got to reread, reprocess, and that's just way too slow. So how do you get from one person orchestrating a set of agents to building a machine that orchestrates the agents, and in such a way that you can trust the output?
Okay, where you grow yourself each time a level up,
mm-hmm.
and the rest is all automated.
Yeah. But you have to take it one step at a time. You can't jump. I've been imagining. Have you ever played Minecraft?
No.
Yeah. So
no.
Yeah, in Minecraft, you're building
mm-hmm.
structures by mining materials and creating other mm-hmm. materials and building blocks. And so there's a particular move whenever you need to build a tall structure, that you will stand on top of a block, and then you'll jump and you'll drop the next block underneath you, and then jump, drop the next block. So you whoop, whoop, whoop. And I feel like that when I'm working with AI in this way. It's like I'm right there at the bottom, just doing the vibe code thing. So it's like, okay, type a thing, look at the output, type a thing, look at the output, then review the code. Okay, create a skill. I've created my first block. Now I'm running around on top of skills, and I'm creating mm-hmm. code that I'm getting more and more comfortable with. It's like, okay, you got the code. I don't need to review it quite so much. Let me go ahead and create some agents that will do that for me. Okay, bloop, now I'm on top of the next block. So yeah, you keep on building, and then eventually you'll be to the point where you've got a factory that you can trust, that is going to output new releases of software. And now you are building a software product line by putting in new requirements, putting in bug reports, putting in ideas, experiments to try.
Yeah, but do you, in practice, do you really trust the code without reviewing?
At a certain point, you need to review less and less. There's at the very beginning, I'm reviewing every single line of code. Mm-hmm. After I have put a structure in place that addresses a particular problem that I see. So that structure could be a skill, it could be a test, it could be an architectural constraint, it could be specs. And you put that structure in place, you see it operate, and then now you get to the point where 95% of the time it's producing really, really quality code. So that's especially true of the things that are just repeatable, that are just really rote. And so then you've kind of got the sense of what's going to be something that I can trust it with, and then what's not. I tell the story of how I got my development team through this huge backlog of events, because we were getting events from all the other systems in the in the microservices, all the other microservices in the system, and then we had this huge backlog of having to process all these different events, and that work was very rote. It was very repeatable. And so when I just created a skill and a command to run the skill, and saw that working reliably for myself, then I shipped that to the team and said, okay, use this to get through the backlog. So yeah, and there was still the code review process. So one person would run the command and then check the output, run the run it on their local environment, make sure that it works properly, then create the PR, and then another person will review the PR. So the review doesn't go away, but the amount of time it takes you to write a line of code is much longer than the amount of time that it takes the AI to write that line of code, and then you completely review that code. But that's longer than the amount of time that it takes for the AI to write a block of code and for you to spot check it. Once you get to the point where a spot check is sufficient, 95% of the time, move up.
Okay. Still far from that.
Yeah, and that's the journey. That is to be expected. Yeah, you should be you should be at the point where you are right now.
Yeah, step by step, it's going better. But I think the models are luckily learning much faster than I am. So
yeah, that's true. Opus 4. What are we? 4.7 now. Goodness. Yeah. Anyway, the latest version of Opus. Which model am I running here? /model. Yeah. Yeah. Opus 4.7. Yeah, with 1 million context. Yeah, that is incredibly powerful. And so in my experience, I have found that it is able to reason through things that are much more complex than even 4.6 was. And so, yeah, I'm doing, as you know, a lot of mathematical proofs inside of my code, and it's able to reason through these kind of proofs. And
okay.
So yeah, I'm able to to say, okay, can you prove that that this message handler is commutative? And then it goes through and it looks for, okay, it's doing an insert only, so and then it's checking to see if that already exists, and so yeah, it's creating the parents before it. And so, oh wait, this one is doing a join to the parent table, but it's not actually doing an insert on the parent table, so that might fail silently until that happens. And so if these get out of order, then you're going to be missing some data. So it's able to reason through all that.
Okay.
So,
that's but you say with 1 million context.
yes.
So you run it in max mode, or
I'm not running, well, so I'm doing this in Claude Code, and so I've got a Claude Code Max subscription, and the default with Claude Code Max is to start you with Opus 4.7 1 million token window.
I think on Cursor.
Yeah, I think Cursor is still at 250 or 200.
It should be models. Opus 4.7, 300K.
Okay, 300. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess that you can, if I open an agent here, if I select switch off auto take Opus 4.7, it tells me extra high. And what is it using then? I can put it in max mode. Enable max mode. Yeah, but then it doesn't tell me what it is using.
Okay. Yeah, I suspect that max mode is 1 million. And yeah, it's the it's the difference in the pricing model.
Actually, normally on the website they put it. Let's see. Cursor models, model pricing. Because some of these models are quite expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, Cursor has the $20 a month, but then add usage after you've exceeded that. And if you stick with auto or premium and allow them to choose the model, then you get to live under that $20 for longer.
So Claude 4.7 Opus requires max mode on request-based plans. Up to 1 million tokens in max mode.
Yeah.
At the same per token request. Okay, but so apparently if you run it in auto mode, it will always stay on 300k.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have this premium route.
Yeah, but premium still doesn't get you up to max mode. It still stays in that 300 range, right?
But what is premium doing other than auto mode? Premium is doing it faster, I guess.
It is. I don't know exactly what's happening under the covers, but I have had the experience of doing something in auto mode and it's just not getting it. So I switched to premium, and then it gets it. So I believe that it is still automatically choosing a model for you based on the task, but now it's able to choose from the more expensive models, and maybe even it's dialed up to choose those more aggressively. So
because it says premium routing. Premium allows Cursor to select the most capable models for you, recommended for the most complex tasks. But Cursor selects premium models based on internal benchmarks, evaluations, user feedback. And the premium pricing is based on the selected model's API rate. It's not always clear what. At least to me, it's not always clear.
Yeah. And I don't think that there's a way to make it clear because they are experimenting as well. You know that Cursor is developing their own models, and now they've got this agreement with SpaceX in order to use SpaceX's machines in order to you're the one who told me about that. And so yeah, they're doing their own experimentation, and they want to with auto mode. I'm certain that it is mostly going to Composer, and then with premium, it's probably going to switch to Opus, but still the 300K, and then back to Composer, maybe to Sonnet every once in a while. But yeah, I've definitely seen the difference between auto and premium, and then when I'm so that's what I'm using for client work, because that's what they provide, what they want us to do. But yeah, for all of my Janaga work, I am using Claude Code, and that's where and I have tried it. Try that same kind of task in Cursor on premium mode. Can it reason through some of these things, and it starts to struggle after it needs to load in a few different sources and track a few predicates down the line. But yeah, Claude Code with Opus 4.7 1 million tokens, it's able to load in all the code that it needs to, load in all the specs that it needs to, reason through from well, this implies that, and get to a really good set of suggestions.
How much do you pay for Claude Code?
That's 100 per month.
Okay. So it's a little bit more expensive, but okay,
Yeah.
if they find they find the solution. And how do you see that Cursor doesn't follow? Because it loses old context, or because it
Yeah.
it starts hallucinating?
Um, it tends not to hallucinate. Uh, because, well, specifically because I believe the things that I'm doing with Janaga are very different from what it's already in its training set. And so yeah, those times that it does hallucinate, it's because it thinks that Janaga.net looks like Entity Framework, and so it creates Entity Framework code.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, most of the time right now I'm working in the TypeScript code, and there's nothing out there that looks like this, and it tends not to hallucinate too much. Except just now this morning, it hallucinated a policy file. It said, no, check check this code here, check this documentation here. That's not what the policy file looks like, and then it started to get it right. When I'm and that was actually Cloud Code that did that. So, but the behavior that I've seen is that it if it doesn't have like with cursor on premium, it will reason through something and then makes a suggestion that if it were able to go one or two more steps, it would be the wrong suggestion. And so then I'm able to tell it, no, that's not going to work because of this. And then I'll say, oh, you're absolutely right. Find those other paths, and then get a little bit more on track. But yeah, Cloud Code, shoot all the way down.
Mm-hmm. So it's probably just the better model with a bigger context.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then in order to make all of this affordable, because with Cloud Code, with that Max plan, if I just use it full steam for 5 hours, I'm going to run out of tokens in my 5-hour session window, and session limit. And so in order to make sure that I can keep going, I create subagents that then are configured to use Sonnet. And so then it gets through the complex reasoning part, and then Opus is able to create instructions for Sonnet for those agents that are really well written and strict, and keep it on track, and then gives it a small task. And then I can see it creating a bunch of tasks, and it says, okay, I'm spinning up this agent for this one, this agent for that one. They're working in parallel, and those are all running on Sonnet. And then it's just Opus making sure that they all do the right thing.
So the top level is Opus, and the workers below are all on Sonnet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to give it a complicated enough task, otherwise it won't do that. And I'll say, did you use any subagents? Or actually, I'll instruct it, create some subagents to do this. And then it'll come back and say, this is really a simple one-shot. I'll just go ahead and do it. Zoop. All right. So, yeah, have to challenge it more.
It's amazing. And if you don't do that with Sonnet subagents, you run out of your $100 credit just in 5 hours.
Well, the usage plan for Cloud Code is different from the others. That they've got 5-hour time blocks that you have a certain amount of usage within those 5 hours, and then it resets at the end of 5 hours. But then there's also a weekly time block.
Okay.
So yeah, when I was working on the Code Launch application, well, not Launch Kings, but when I was working for the Code Launch startup for the competition, I was using Cloud Code for that, and we were coding hard for 2 days straight. There was one point at which I saw I was getting over 90% of my 5-hour window, because with that kind of coding, there wasn't a lot of just, okay, now I understand, just do that same thing over and over again. It was a lot of Oh, okay, now let's try to get this working. Let's try to get that working. Do some research over there. See if this is going to work or that. Run some experiments. And those are the kind of things that Opus is great for, but they're not repeatable. So you can't build a structure until you've solved the problem. And this was just solving the problem, and solving the problem straight for 2 days. So yeah, there was one 5-hour period where I was getting close to the max.
Okay. So it forces you to take a rest from time to time,
Yeah.
or to pay additional.
Yep. You can do / extra usage, and it'll say, okay, you can keep going past your 5 hours, but now we're just gonna add that cost.
Mm.
And I was willing to hit that button, but fortunately, I didn't have to in that case.
Mm.
I could just take a break for 20 minutes. So, okay, 20-minute cooldown. All right, let's take a break. I probably needed a 20-minute cooldown too.
Mm-hmm. Good. Did I had anything else here? No. I think that was it from my side. No more questions.
Very good. Well, yeah, and I really don't have much to share because we've been in crunch time, and I've been working on family stuff. So, but yeah, just this morning I did spin up Cloud Code, and I had it looking at a walking skeleton of the factual MCP. So basically, take all of the parts that we need and put them into Docker Compose, and then start it up, and then see if they can connect. It doesn't actually do anything yet, but all the parts are there, and it found that this can't connect to that because it's not authorized. Let me create an authorization rule. So it created an authorization policy file that just said allow all semicolon. So, well, that's cute, but that's not actually the syntax. So here you go. Read this, read that. And say, okay, this is what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe it is now at the point where where you could actually run the baked example. So create. I need you to help me keep track of my expenses. The the example that we walked through 2 weeks ago, and so I think it is hard coded those authorization rules into the end user replica or replicator, and so if the user asks specifically for that, and the model comes up, or the agent comes up with this specific model, then it'll be authorized. But yeah, if they ask for something else, or it comes up with a slight deviation, authorization rules don't fit. So yeah, I think I want to get from kind of this walking skeleton then to something that really is able to update the authorization rules as the model changes, and then I should be able to demonstrate the factual MCP working in CodeWork. So you just log into Janaga, tell it what you want it to keep track of, and it builds an app and runs it. But all that will be on your own machine inside of Docker.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next step is put that in Azure, and then put paywall, trial subscriptions, invitation codes, all that stuff around that, and then I can start handing out little cards and saying, "Here, give Janaga a try."
Yeah, that will be amazing to see that.
Yeah. The whole time in this project, give Janaga a try meant go to my website and then read a whole bunch of code, and now you go and type a whole bunch of code.
Mm-hmm.
And funny enough, nobody does that.
Yeah, but it takes a lot of reading and thinking before you can write something in Janaga.
Yeah.
Where did I? Yeah, it was on one of the websites where your book is. One of the reviews. Somebody said Michael is way ahead of time.
I hope that's
His
not the
thinking
case.
is a revolution. Um, so, and
Yeah,
I think there is something true about that.
yeah. There might be, um, but that really just, yeah, that really just means that I've got so much work to do in order to get people to start thinking this way.
Hmm.
So yeah, this is one attempt where it's okay. Let's not teach the people how to think this way. Let's teach the machines how to think this way,
Hmm.
and then give the people the tool to use the machine to do the right thing. And then once they
Yeah, but
see that working, they can say, well, how
hmm.
does that work? And so, oh, here's the model. You want me to write that in TypeScript or in .NET? And so, sure, yeah. Okay, now here's the the code that you can put into your project in order to interact with the model that you've already started using through Cowork.
Hmm. No, I think the direction will make it easier to take the first steps and to really feel the possibilities of the framework.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the small details afterwards. Once people start see the possibilities and understand that it has yeah, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
potential, um,
Yeah.
then even companies will go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that really is kind of pinpointing or putting the spotlight on the fact that I've been selling to the wrong crowd. Um, So yeah, I'm speaking at developer conferences, trying to get developers to use these libraries and get developers to use these patterns. And um, there are two problems. One, developers think that they've already solved the problems that I'm
Mm.
solving, um, which is really kind of funny because then, and in a different conversation, they'll come back and say, "Hey, I'm running into this problem. Do you have any suggestions?" I said, "Well, you're running into that problem because you followed those patterns and not those patterns."
Mm.
So I can give you a stopgap to let you keep using the patterns you're using, yeah, or you could do the hard work and switch over to some patterns that are going to work all the time. So okay, give me the quick solution. All right, here you go. Boom. And, um, so that's one problem. The other problem is the developers are implementing strategy. They're not creating strategy. So I need to talk to the people who are creating strategy.
Yeah, who decide that's the way we go,
Mm-hmm.
and it will be with Jinaga.
Yeah, yeah. And um, there's uh, so there's a message about and in the first edition I put this at the back of the book. The second edition I moved it up earlier, but yeah, there's a message about the immutable organization of
Mm.
once you have immutable patterns in place, now you can use that um, to surface your services and to interact with others in a way that is a much more fluid, and you can put those security rules in place in order to make sure that you're protecting your domain, and yet at the same time you can get um, all of the real time behavior that you need in order to respond quickly to what your partners are doing. So saying it like that, as opposed to when you're talking to a developer, you say, "Oh, okay, you're using queues. Well, that's just going to be inside your firewall because you don't expose queues to the internet. So how can you do real time updates? Oh, okay, have to have a an API that supports WebSocket, well, WebSockets as one option, or uh, webhooks as another option. And so, okay, you can build all of this stuff in place, and can talk to developers about how you could build those things, or how you could switch to something that does real time with security at the boundary. Um,
Mm.
and So it's like, oh no, I'll just keep using what I'm familiar with. Or you can talk to a decision maker and say, you need to respond to what your partners are doing, and you need to be
Mm.
secure. This does those two things.
Okay. Hmm.
So, well, why aren't we doing that? I don't know. Invite me in, and I'll teach your people how to do that.
Yeah. I think it's so much new stuff. that it's indeed it requires a new strategy and not just an
Yeah.
implementation of an individual developer.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
His teammates will say, "What is he doing?"
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and to be quite honest, I've only really been able to implement these patterns when I'm the tech lead and say, okay, this is what we're going to be doing, and I'm given that the autonomy to do so. Well, I'm never given the autonomy. I fight for the autonomy to do so.
yeah. Look, I'm gonna have to leave you because I have to get somebody from the airport.
Yep, it is time.
And I just get a message that they went
Okay.
touchdown. So
Very good.
I'm having to leave. Anyway, it's 16:02. So
Yeah.
good, Michael. Next week, I should be there. Let me see. Yeah, nothing special. So
Excellent. All right. Yeah. Well, next week I'll see if I can lead us off with the factual MCP demo. See if that's to the point where I can show you how that works.
very good. Okay, Michael. Have a good day and see you next week then.
See you then.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.